lot of professors who are interested to hear about the PRIMA Foundation and the PRIMA Core. Let me first introduce myself. I'm Dr. Mohammed Shinnawi. I'm a professor of surgery in Ain Shams University, and I'm the vice president of Galala University and the advisor to His Excellency Professor Khaled Abdel Ghaffar, Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research. And I'm also the co-chair of the PRIMA Foundation in Spain. And before I start, I would like to welcome the presenters with us, Professor Dr. Heba Gaber, the Research and Innovation Regional Office in the EU, European Union Delegation to the Arab Republic of Egypt. It's a great pleasure to have you with us, Dr. Heba. Also, we are joined here in Galala University with Dr. Mohammed Wagih, who is the project officer of PRIMA Foundation. He's joining us here in Galala. Also, we are joined by Dr. Salma Al-Aisawi, who will be representing the ASRT guidelines, topics, and funding for the Egyptian researchers. And from the STDF, we'll be joined online by Ms. Marwa Ali. And in the end, Dr. Tariq Al-Arabi will be talking to us about the best practice. Allow me to start my presentation. Can you hear me all? Please, can all of those who are joining us online, can you hear me? Yes. So,
yes, we hear you well.
This is the Egypt Info Day about PRIMA. PRIMA Foundation was integrated in 2017. It's an initiative that actually we thought about since 2012 and took us 6 years to start the first call in 2018. And it has around 19 countries participating around the Mediterranean with one vision, which is to have an inclusive, healthy, and prosperous Mediterranean society through innovation in agri-food, water, and agriculture. By the end, we are not only a funding agency, but we hope to be a platform that will have all the researchers all over the Mediterranean interacting together, aligning our national guidelines together and our national regulations. Because as a Mediterranean countries and Mediterranean basin, we are facing a lot of common challenges. And that's why we need to use our sustainable natural resources, economic growth, and stability. That's why our mission is to achieve, support, and promote integration, alignment, and joint implementation of research and innovation initiatives. To have this common strategy. So we are not only a funding agency, but actually a platform for all researchers and networking around the Mediterranean. As I mentioned, we are 11 European countries and 8 non-European countries or 1,000 Mediterranean countries, including Egypt, Tunisia, Lebanon, Morocco, Algeria, Turkey, all of these countries. Then our main feature is equal footing and equal decision and co-management. And this is a main pillar for the PRIMA Foundation with a long-term commitment. And we are trying to avoid duplication in research and innovation around the Mediterranean region. and to have relations with the main stakeholders in the region. And we are operating according to Article 185 initiatives. What's our governance? We have our board of trustees, which contains the 19 countries, and we are honored that Egypt and Italy are the chair and co-chair. Professor Angelo Riccaboni is the chair, is the elected chair, and myself, as representing Egypt, is the elected co-chair, with equal representation from all the participating states, with our partner, main partner, the UFM. We have our advice from the Scientific Advisory Board, with our PRIMA Secretariat in Barcelona, with the team there, where we have also a steering committee that consists of 6 countries, the chair and co-chair, and another 4 countries, 2 from the North Mediterranean and 2 from the South Mediterranean countries. Since 19 June of 2000, we are a foundation under the Spanish law. Our financial contribution or financial support is around 500 million euros, 274 from the participating states and 220 million from the European Union. So what are we going to do with this money? We need to implement the program. We need to see change around the Mediterranean region. We support research and innovation with the help of the Secretariat and the support from the participating states and of course of the EU through different calls, either research and innovation action or CSA or innovation action. And the difference between the RIA and IA is in the TRL or the technology readiness level of the projects. RIA starts from 3 to 7, while for the innovation action, we are talking about 6 and above. Not only we are funding research, and this is a message to all our participants, but also we are capacity development all over the Euro-Mediterranean countries, also networking, coordination and integration of national research, and alignment of our programs together. Because we believe without innovation, we will not reach our target. With concrete activities to remove the barriers, unleashing the creative potential of innovators, push forward concrete solutions, and open new markets. New markets is extremely important, and also our concentration on the SMEs, the small and medium entrepreneurs. That's why we are honored and happy that we are involving a lot of the startups and the SMEs in our funding. As I mentioned, the type of grants, either research and innovation, innovation action, or coordinated and support projects. According to our SIRIA, or Strategic Innovation Research Agenda, and accordingly we have our PRIMA annual work plans. Also comprehensive consultation process, always annual, always adapting, with 3 main thematic areas, which are management of water, farming system and food security, and concentrating on the Mediterranean healthy diet. And that's why, while I'm sitting here in Galala University, I'm having a multidisciplinary team, having microbiologists, having the pharmacists, having the doctors, having all the disciplines sitting with us on the same room. And of course, the agro-food value chain. Sometimes some people get confused about the structure, but to keep it easy, we are divided mainly for the funding into 2 sections. Section 1, which is funded directly through the European Union, while Section 2 is funded through the participating states, according also to the rules of the PRIMA Foundation. While Section 3, these are activities for the participating states. More clear, we make the call for publication. You as researchers look at which topic you are interested in and which section it's below. So if it's under Section 1, you will apply for the PRIMA Foundation, either Section 1 or Section 2. The evaluation and selection also will be through the PRIMA, and then when you are funded, if you are under Section 1, you will be funded according to the European Union law. If you are funded through Section 2, you will be funded by your funding, local funding or national funding agency. And in Egypt, you will be funded either by the ASRT or by the STDF. That's why today we'll be hearing from both funding agencies to clarify all the needs for this. Accordingly, the rules of participation in Section 1 is according to the EU, and the Section 2 according to the participating states' rules. And that's why we are aiming to align the funding between the 19 countries. How do you participate? Can Egypt and Lebanon and Tunisia go and submit alone? No. It has to be at least 2+1. So if it is Egypt, Lebanon, so we have to have with us either Germany, Italy, or Greece. Or if Italy, Greece, and France would like to apply, they have to have Egypt with them. So it's a minimum of 3 partners, which has to be 2+1. 2 from the south and 1 from the north, or 2 from the north and 1 from the south. So at least 1. What if you are going to apply Egypt, Lebanon, and I'm having Netherlands? No, Netherlands is not a participating state. So you have to have one of the participating states with you. At least one is established in the third countries or the Mediterranean Sea. All of the consortiums are between 5 to 7 to 8 partners always in there. And we always encourage the SMEs and the private sector to join us in PRIMA. Applications and scientific impact that we are looking for, actually, we are hoping to have economic impact, social impact, and environmental impact. This is the aim of the PRIMA. Not only having a publication, but actually we are aiming high. We are aiming for a real impact on our societies. That's why we have our KPIs and our outcome indicators as regards the alignment, the critical mass, and the strengthening of our research and innovation capacities, and at the same time, the outcomes indicators for the goals that we are seeking. So very fast in our priorities, so that to give the floor for Heba, because I know I exceeded my time. So these are the 3 thematic areas that we are talking about, which are management of water, farming, and agro-food, plus the nexus. We had already called 2018, 2019, and 2020, and now we are talking about 2021, where you will find that we are strengthening on the innovation action. Of course, we are aligning all our research and annual work plan according to the Sustainable Development Goals, and we are considering the European Green Deal so that we can help in preserving and restore ecosystems and biodiversity. Our budget this year is 68 million euros, divided between 33 million euros from Section 1 and 35 million euros from Section 2, divided, as you can see, for around 8. We are expecting around 11 projects. So in Section 1, so our project at least will be funded between 2.5 to 3 million euros, while in Section 2, we are expecting around 30 projects. So the fund is around 1 million euros. This is our calendar for this year. So the submission deadline will be 13th of April for Stage 1, while 21st of April for Section 2. And we hope that the evaluation by the end of this year, 22nd of November for Section 1 and 10th of December for Section 2. These are our thematic areas in Section 1 and Section 2. In water management, in Section 1, we are talking about sustainable soil and water management. In Section 2, elevating Mediterranean water scarcity through adaptive water governance. In farming systems, we are talking about the increasing environmental and socio-economic performance small-scale farming systems, while in section 2 we are talking about agroecological principles to increase ecosystem service and biodiversity. And we are capitalizing in previous projects. In agri-food value chain, you will find that we are concentrating mainly in the Mediterranean diet. And this is a very good opportunity for multidisciplinarity in this school. We're talking about around 8.4 million euros with higher TRL, more than 6, while in section 2, we are talking about TRL, and we are relating to the COVID-19-like crisis to see how we are going to increasing our resilience of small-scale farms. Also, we have our nexus. This is in water, energy, and food. And before I finish my call, let's look at some numbers so that we can see where are we going. Looking at the PRIMA analytics, you will find that we have supported 129 projects with 164.5 million euros, with around 1,200 beneficiaries around the Mediterranean, with every beneficiary of average of 130,000 euros, with a success rate of 7.4. These are numbers. What about Egypt? We need more competition and more participation from the Egyptian partners, although we have 43 projects from Egypt with around 7 million euros, only one coordinator, 58 beneficiary, and a budget of around 120,000 euros. I need to make a small comparison for a country which is like Egypt in the numbers, but with double the budget. Look at the Germany, you'll find that it's 42 projects. Egypt actually is 43, but the budget is around the doubling of Egypt. Why? Because the average budget beneficiaries is around 254K with 10 coordinators. So I hope that the Egyptian researchers go for the coordination, and in the national rule, the SCDF and the SRT will show that we are giving benefits for the coordinators with a success rate of 9.1, while in Egypt is around 6.6. I come here to the end of my talk, and I would like to thank you all, and we will have a question and answers in the end of our session. And I give the floor now to Ms. Heba Gaber from the EU. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Shenawi. And thank you for the invitation to attend the event today and contribute to it. Can someone kindly accept it to share my slides? Anyways, I can start without the slides until they're shared. In my very brief talk today, I will not try to steal the light from PRIMA. I know this is a PRIMA Info Day, but I will try to shed the light on other opportunities for funding under the EU portfolio. As Dr. Shenawi highlighted, that PRIMA is already receiving 200 million euros from the European Commission, and this came from our previous program, Horizon 2020. Today, I will be very briefly talking to you about the overall cooperation portfolio, the current open calls, and the upcoming calls under Horizon Europe, our new program, which doubled the funding or even more of Horizon 2020. Next, please. Next slide, please. Our overall cooperation with Egypt. Next slide, please. Yes. I'm not sure if there is a voice lag or, but anyways, so the overall cooperation between the European Union and Egypt is governed by a bilateral science and technology agreement that was signed in 2005. Since then, Egypt has been contributing significantly to participating in EU programs, including the previous one, FP7, and the following one, Horizon 2020. And of course, the flagship of our cooperation currently is the PRIMA agreement, which we concluded in September 2019. But we also have a regional cooperation portfolio where we have identified thematic priorities, including climate change, renewable energy, and health. So a lot of cooperation initiatives will be upcoming under those thematic areas, in addition to water and food, which are the focus of the PRIMA program and the currently open calls, which will continue until 2021. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay. I'm not sure why the slides are not flipping, but okay, I can give an overview of what Egypt what Egypt did under Horizon 2020, just as an overview. Egypt participated 56 times in we have 56 funded projects under Horizon 2020. The overall budget of those 56 participations increased 150 million euros. That's the overall budget of the project, of which only perhaps 5 million euros went to Egyptian participants, but we do not measure how much went to the participants, but the overall impact of the projects. These are all big projects. Perhaps I can highlight that the top sectors, not surprisingly, are the common interests in the region, including food, sustainable agriculture, bioeconomy, climate action, environment, and also Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, which are concerned with mobility of researchers. I need also to highlight that the countries that have the highest collaborations with Egypt under the program include Italy, France, and Spain, and perhaps also Greece. I also wish to highlight that the participations include not only public entities, like the Ministry of Scientific Research is a participant, the Academy of Scientific Research is a participant, but we also have participation from the private sector and the civil society. We have participation from SECAM, for example. We have participation from companies like Mentor Graphics and some companies in the area of renewable energy. We have participation from universities. Heliopolis University is a participant, Nile University, Wales City, Cairo University and research centers, the National Institute of Oceanography and Fishery, the National Research Center, the Agriculture Research Center. So we have a very diverse portfolio of participants in the program. Egypt comes in terms of, next slide, please. In terms of the ranking of participation in the region, while Tunisia is an associated country to the program, of course, is the first country in the region, followed by Morocco, and third is Egypt, followed by Lebanon and Jordan. Looking at the thematic area, as I mentioned, perhaps Marie Skłodowska-Curie action, which is concerned with mobility of researchers, is the section of the program that received the highest participations. One final call is perhaps still open under Horizon. Next slide, please. Horizon 2020, that I thought today would be an opportunity to highlight it. Next slide, please. Is the Europe-Africa Partnership on Renewable Energy. I will not dig into details, but this is a currently open call for those who are interested in renewable energy. It's sort of a co-fund. I wouldn't say similar to PRIMA. It's not similar to PRIMA, but the same idea where half of the funding is coming from the Commission and then the rest from the participating states. The funding entity that is participating in this program is the Academy of Scientific Research and Technology. Next slide, please. The calls are currently open, so I encourage you to have a look. It was published in January, and the 1st of April is the deadline for a pre-proposal. It's not a full proposal, but a pre-proposal. So I encourage you to have a look. For the sake of time, I'm trying to be very brief. Next slide, please. Yeah. I already shared this presentation with SOHA, or the organizers of the event. So the slides will be shared with all the links and information anyways. So Horizon Europe is the successor of Horizon 2020 with double the funding. We're talking about a budget of close to 90 billion euros. It's a huge research and cooperation program. The calls will be launched next month. Again, it's covering all types of research. We are called 3 pillars: excellent science, global challenges, and innovative Europe. The pillar in the middle, which is the pillar concerned with global challenges, this covers all the thematic areas, the normal thematic areas, and I put the link for all the information where you can browse the calls under the EU funding portal. And then, of course, there is the excellent science pillar, which is concerned with grants from the European Research Council and Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. I highlighted those in the next slide, please. Yes, please, can you click again? Yes, continue click. Yes, so this is the link for the Horizon Europe latest news, and the link for the funding and tenders portal, where you will find opportunities not only under Horizon Europe, but other EU programs like even Erasmus and Europe Aid funded in programs as well. You will find also not only grants, but also grants and tenders. This is sort of a portal that you will find all information about any EU funding that is either regional or bilateral, and under all the instruments that are managed by the European Commission. I thought this would be an opportunity to highlight the calls and the possible actions under Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, because it is the program that Egypt participated in the most in Horizon 2020. So next slide, please. So under Horizon Europe, there are opportunities for what we call European fellowships. These are the fellowships that bring in postdoctoral students to Europe. It's for experienced researchers up to 8 years of experience, and those individual researchers can apply to, not the institution, but individual researchers, but they need to apply together with a host institution in one of the EU member states and associated countries. Next, please. The calls will be open on the 15th of April for the 2021, and I also put the link for again for the portal with all the information, and particularly the one for the Marie Skłodowska-Curie action. So if you're a researcher who finished your PhD and you're looking for postdoc opportunities, this is where you need to look. Next, please. And there are also the doctoral networks. This is for institutions, like if you're a university or a research center and you want to be part of a consortia that apply for funding to create a program and bring in students, then you would need to look at the doctoral networks component of the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. The call for those will open in May of this year. So I thought, again, it's a good opportunity to highlight that in addition for funding research, there are also multiple opportunities under the program, in addition to looking for funding for a research grant, but also there are opportunities for creating programs and mobility. My last slide, please. No, after that. Yes, this is the final slide. There are also the, and those are actually currently open calls. The ERC, the European Research Council, was one of the first programs to get already launched under Horizon Europe. Those are also grants for PhD holders at different stages of their career. We have the starting grant, the consolidator grant, and the advanced grants. The differences are in the amount of the grants, but these are actually very big grants that start with 1.5 million euros up to, I think, 2.5 million euros. And they are categorized based on the years of experience of the researchers following the PhD and which stage of their career are they. And these are for basically frontier research. And they are already open, so I also put the links. We did not have Egyptian participants in the ERC grants before. Participants can be from any nationality, but the research has to take place in a host institution in an EU member state or associated country member state. So again, you have to apply through a host organization, but as the principal investigator. Of course, a lot of information, so I was not able to get into details, but the links that are there, and I'm happy to answer any questions. So yeah, I hope I did not deviate a lot from PRIMA, but also it was an opportunity to highlight that our cooperation with Egypt, the EU cooperation with Egypt, covers many areas in addition, of course, to our flagship PRIMA. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hiba. It was very comprehensive presentation. And I hope that always the Egyptian participation in EU is increasing. And we had always been discussing this together. So having those researchers with us, very eminent professors, we hope to increase the contribution of Egypt in the EU, especially with the Horizon Europe and all the opportunities that's available. And now it's my pleasure and honor to give the talk to Dr. Mohammed Wagih, who is the project officer of PRIMA, website guidance and current call topics and proposal writing. Dr. Wagih.
Good morning to you all. It's my pleasure to be with you today. I am Mohammed Wagih, the PRIMA project officer for agro-food. And today I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to apply to the PRIMA open calls and how to prepare a competitive PRIMA proposal. No. Okay, we need to open. Sorry, it seems presentation is not here. I don't know why. Sorry, we have some technical issue that we are now trying to fix. Okay, sorry, we fixed the issue and now we will go to the presentation. Okay. Okay, so let's start with the procedure on how to apply to the PRIMA. Okay, the first point is to make sure that your project and your consortium, if you are the coordinator or if you are the partner, that it is admissible and eligible. And as Dr. Shinawi already mentioned, that for the admissibility for your consortium, it has to be at least the 3 partners, one from the north and one from the south. This is for the eligibility. But before the eligibility, we are doing as well the admissibility check. Those are the 4 main points of the admissibility that you need to consider while drafting your proposal. It has to be submitted through the electronic submission system of the PRIMA through this ENR platform. So we are not accepting any application received or sent by email or by any other mean. It has to be readable, accessible, and printable, and you need to respect that the assessors tend to print out your proposal and evaluate the paper, evaluated it in a paper format. So make sure that before submitting or uploading your proposal on the system, that it is printable and it is readable. Not like for the pictures and photos, they are not pixelated or high quality and so on. And the application has to be complete with all obligatory and supporting document needed. And in the next slide, we are going to talk together about the first stage required documents and also for the second stage. And finally, you need to include as well inside your application a draft exploitation and dissemination of the results of your project. This is not mandatory for the first stage, but it is highly recommended. And this is one of the points that differentiate between very good proposals and an excellent project to be funded at the end. As you may know that for the PRIMA, we have a two-stage submission. In the first stage, you are asked to submit a pre-proposal and other documents for sure, but for the pre-proposal or the scientific document, which is part 2, maximum 10 pages. And the system is smart enough that if you try to upload a document with like 11 pages or more, so the system will alert you that you exceed the page limit. On the second stage, you will be asked to submit a full application with a number of pages, maximum 50 pages. For research and innovation action, as we said that at least in your consortium, you have to have at least 3 independent legal entities from 3 different PRIMA participating states. As we know that we have the EU member states and the third countries like Egypt, for instance, or non-EU PRIMA participating states. In your consortium, you have to have at least 1 partner from the EU member states and at least 1 partner as well from the third country. Based on analyzing the data that we have after 3 years, the average size of a consortium, it's around 9 to 10 partners from 4 to 5 countries. But this is not for sure a standard because we have like a project with 20 partners and we have another project with only 3 countries. So it is up to you. And what is more important is the scope and the role of your project and the role and the engagement of your partners. Just some questions or cases that you need to consider and some of the answers that we used to send to the future applicants, that if I have a consortium of Germany, Italy, and Netherlands, for instance. In fact, this is ineligible consortium, and in this case, the project will not go to the evaluation because you don't have any partner from the southern or eastern part of the Mediterranean. Sometimes we receive the question like, can I have like a partner from Austria or China or US? The answer is yes for Section 1 and Section 2. For Section 1, countries like Austria or Netherlands or Scandinavian countries are eligible to receive grant from the PRIMA under Section 1, but not for Section 2 because we don't have national funding agencies from those countries. For United States or China or other countries from out of the EU countries, member states, they can participate with their own finance, but they cannot be the coordinator of your project, and they have to be above this limitation, like this 3 participating states. Through the PRIMA website, you can access all data that you need to know, such as the information about the annual work plan, the templates, guidelines, and also you will find the link direct you to the electronic submission system. Also, we have a very interesting and useful partnering tool where some partners or organizations looking for partners, or they announce their profiles so they can be approached by other applicants. Also, we are inviting you as well to register yourself in the PRIMA database for expert and reviewers registration tool, because we are using this tool as well in order to select some of our reviewers and experts for the evaluation of the projects of this year. It's important here to highlight that if you are planning to participate as a partner or a third party or a coordinator in a project, you will not be selected to be a reviewer in the same cycle. So just for the transparency that you don't have any interest, personal or institutional interest in any project. That's why we ask our reviewers to declare this clearly. Through the PRIMA website, you will go to call for proposal, and under the reference document, you will find all data and documents related to the thematic area that you wanted to apply, such as if you are looking for an agro-food, for instance, under section 1. So I will go to this topic and I will open the link. It will direct me to the page of this thematic area. So I will access all documents related to this, like the guideline, the call text, which include the challenges and the scope and expected impact from the project submitted under this. And you will find as well on the top the submission link, so that it will direct you to the electronic submission system. Once you go to this electronic submission system, you will have to enter your username and password, or email address and password, or if it is your first time, so you will register yourself. And then you will enter the data of your project. If you are the coordinator, here we are talking about, this is the role of the coordinator. If you are the partner, so you should receive this invitation through the electronic submission system once the coordinator entered your data. One of the main questions that we used to receive, sometimes we can find that like the title in English and in French, and the abstract in English and French. You can put the English version for the abstract for the English side or the French side, because we are only accepting applications in English. We also developed on the PRIMA website the electronic submission system handbook, so you can check, especially if you are the coordinator or if you are as well the partner, so you can know how to deal with the electronic submission system. And then you can add, if you are the coordinator for sure, you can add extra partners, or if you are the partner, so the coordinator for sure will add you to the system or to this project. So what is needed to know in order to submit? You have to have eligible consortium, as we explained before. You have to submit the following documents. For the first stage, you have part 1, which is an online form that you need to fill on the system, plus a template that you need to download from the PRIMA website. You fill it, transfer it into a PDF, and then upload it to the electronic submission system. And part 2, which is the scientific document, or like the beefy part of the application, like your idea, what you are going to do, and so on. It is also a template that you download from the PRIMA website. You fill it, maximum 10 pages for the first stage, transfer it into a PDF, and you upload it to the system. Budget for the first stage, you need just to put the global budget of your project and the global budget of each one of your partner, if you are the coordinator. In the second stage, there is this third document that you need again to download the template from the PRIMA website. You fill it if you are the coordinator, or you send your budget to the coordinator, and he will collect all data and then submit a single budget sheet in an Excel format on the system. There is very important notes here that we don't have a button on the submission system called submit. Like, imagine that you finish everything, you uploaded all documents, and now I'm ready to submit, but there is no this button to submit. The system will automatically submit all documents and proposals and applications on the system at the time and date of the deadline. And after that, the coordinator and the partners will receive this confirmation email through the system. Okay. Also, to give you some inside useful information to know or to be familiar with the evaluation procedure that we are applying with the system. As we said, it is a 2-stage submission and 2-stage evaluation. So in the first stage, you submitted your pre-proposal. We do the admissibility check and eligibility check for section 1 and section 2 by the PRIMA Secretariat and our admin staff there in Barcelona. And for section 2, we direct, or we are also giving the access to the corresponding national funding agencies involved in your project. So for instance, if you are applying for section 2 and you requesting your grant, for instance, from STDF, so the STDF staff can go and access this project only to check the eligibility of the Egyptian participant. If everything is fine and clear, so we enter to the evaluation stage. We send each proposal to at least 3 independent experts to evaluate your project. And then it is not just like mathematical equations collecting the scores and taking just the average or the mean, but we invite all evaluators for each panel. For instance, for agri-food, I have my agri-food evaluation panel. It's around 20 to 25 experts. We are inviting them to Barcelona over 2 days to meet and to discuss together, because to discuss, for instance, the strengths and weaknesses of different proposals, and they will come out at the end with the final ranking or the shortlisted projects invited to the second stage. Then you receive the invitation to the second stage, you prepare your full application, you submitted it through the system, once again admissibility check and eligibility check, and then go to the expert evaluation. And in the second stage, you are doing what we call it expert circulation. Like, for instance, in the first stage, 3 experts from the panel evaluated your projects. We tend to change 1 to 2 of those experts also within the same evaluation panel, just to make sure that new eyes evaluated the projects. The evaluation criteria for the first stage, we have 2 points that we are gonna, in the second half of the presentation, talk about: the excellence, which is scored out of 5, and the impact, also scored out of 5. In the second stage, we have a 3rd point as well to be addressed or tackled, which is the quality and efficiency of the implementation. This is only needed for the second stage. For the first stage, to know that it is really a high competition program and calls.
هتقول لي وهتاكد عليا انك موجود معانا.
4 out of 5 and 4 out of 5 for the impact, in order to declare this product it's eligible or it passed already the threshold. And this is one of the main or common mistake that sometimes as a scientist we pay a lot of attention to the excellence and we put less effort for the impact, but we need, when we draft our proposal, to consider that both of them has equal score and equal threshold. In the second stage, we have 3 points: the excellence in impact and implementation, and we have 1 extra threshold, which is the overall threshold, which is at least to score 10 out of 15 to make sure that the project at least passed the threshold. Just also to share with you that based on the experience of the last years, for section 1 and section 2, it is a high competition, that the score of the funded projects is not less than 13 or at least 12.5. So you can imagine how tough the competition was. I can skip this, but also this is very important to share this and to do like self-evaluation and assessment of my application before applying. You can ask an external observer or one of your colleagues in the university to review your proposal to make sure it is clear. And those are the criteria that each reviewer will check your application under the excellence, under the impact, and for the second stage, plus the quality and efficiency of the implementation. I will finish the first part with some final recommendation. Don't wait until the last moment to register or to fill your application on the electronic submission system. Be sure that you submit part 1, because sometimes the consortia are in a hurry, so they just put part 2 and keep revising it and forget to upload part 1, which is part of the admissibility. Prepare your own checklist to make sure that you fulfill all requirements. For section 2, we strongly advise to communicate with your national funding agency before submitting your proposal to make sure that, yes, I'm eligible to apply and I fulfill all national requirements. Check always the PRIMA website in case of there is any like updates or news or extension of the deadlines or whatever, and also follow us on the PRIMA social media channels. My second part of the presentation, I know I exceed already the time, but okay, is how to write a competitive proposal. We have already in the PRIMA Secretariat, in a collaboration with the national contact points and national funding agencies, already organized a set of capacity building workshops in several countries, including Egypt, for this year and last year. So, but it was like over 2 days, but I'm gonna to maybe summarize it in 10 minutes. So just to remind ourselves, we are a 2-stage submission. So we have the pre-proposal, as I said, part 1, which is the admin data, online form that you need to fill on the system, or the coordinator need to fill, and the PDF to be uploaded. You download the template from the PRIMA website, you fill it and upload it as a PDF. Part 2, which is the scientific document that we are gonna to explain or to discuss more in the next slides. It is again a template Word document from the PRIMA website. You downloaded it, fill it maximum 10 pages, PDF, and you uploaded it to the system. For the pre-proposal or the first stage, we have two sections or two parts. Part one, or the first section, which is the excellence, we have 4 points under it, and we have only, under the impact, we have only 2.1, which is the expected impact. Due to the time limitation, we will not talk about the second stage. Maybe we will have something in the future for elaborating more these sections, different sections of the second stage. So let's talk more about the first stage. First, you need to define the title and acronym of your project. Make it simple, not too long title. Maybe just one sentence would be enough. Make the acronym catchy and easily to be remembered by the assessors. And the best source to draft your title is the call text itself. You and your team and your partners can try to puzzle the keywords of the call text, and in order to define the title that can reflect the problem that you are going to address and the objective of your project. And then you have a table of partners, and which is the same as well for part one, part two, and on the online. It is very important to make sure that the numbering is consistent throughout all these documents, that if I'm talking about partner one, so I'm talking about the Egyptian partner, partner two, it is the Tunisian partner, and so on. And then let's go for each one of these. So for the first section or the first part, which is the excellence, the first point or 1.1, which is the objectives. You will describe the overall and the specific objectives. You may be as well for sure familiar with the term SMART objective, like it has to be specific to your project. It has to be measurable, that I can measure something, like it's tangible, I can measure and quantify. It has to be achievable. It has to be realistic. So try to avoid overestimation, because it's going to be negatively evaluated by the assessor. And it has to be timing. So throughout the time frame of your project is going to be achieved. You can, but for sure it is up to you, but we are just recommending to use like maybe some bullet points or whatever to specify specific objective one or SO1 and SO2 and so on, because you need through this 10 pages to use the space wisely. So instead of like repeating the full sentence of objective one, I just define SO1 in the beginning, and then throughout the document, and I can just refer to SO1 and SO2. You need to be precise and specific, and as I said, try to avoid too open goals or overestimation. Reflect what is already written in the call text. That's why we keep advising the applicants and partners to read carefully again and again the call text to make sure that, yes, I fully understand what the PRIMA is looking for, and our product is fitting 100% to this. Avoid the general and narrative description, because sometimes, as we are scientists, so we tend to use the space to elaborate a lot the narrative description. This is something that we need to consider during the first stage specifically, because we only have 10 pages. Define as well the geographical coverage, like the countries that you are going to implement your project, the main stakeholders and the end users and the beneficiaries of your project, and the main deliverables. Imagine for your project, you will have like 50 deliverables. Due to the limitation in the pages, maybe it is enough just to highlight the 5 or 10 main deliverables, like prototypes, 2-3 new products, platform, and so on. The second point under the excellence, which is 1.2, which is, okay, I have an idea and the PRIMA has its goal. So I'm trying to match or show the relation between my project and the core topic that I'm going to address. So again, it is a reflection from the core text. Again, state how the product will address not just the core topic that you are going to apply for, but the goal of the year for 2021 plus the PRIMA Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, because we are not publishing this topic just like an isolated item, but it is part of our mandate, which is the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda. So if I'm applying to the water, I have to go again to the PRIMA Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda to check the priorities under the water sector and the predefined KPIs at the program level. So to make sure that my project is not only satisfying the core topic, but also satisfying the three. Also, it is very important to align my project to other EU programs like the Green Deal and Horizon Europe and others, and if there is any other supportive regional or national strategies and policies, so to make sure that and to show to the assessor that my project are going to be as well aligned to this national regulations or EU policies. It is just suggested, but for sure it is up to you, but maybe you can use like a tabular format to list down the challenges and the scope and to be matched with the project responses and the activities. Also show the relevance of your project to the Mediterranean countries and refer if there is any significant plans at the national or regional or global level, such as the SDGs, for instance, and show the synergy with other initiatives, maybe bigger in your countries. The third point, which is 1.3, which is the concept and the methodology. So far, we didn't say anything about the idea itself. So you will mention it here, and it is divided into two parts. The first part, which is the concept, you will present the main ideas and the modules and the main assumptions of your project, the overall concept underpinning your project, show the partner's knowledge and the rules. And this is very important to consider. Each partner has a significant role in the project. So you are not just like inviting your friends or colleagues in the consortium, and you need to consider as well the interdisciplinary. Like, okay, I have like 30% of the consortium members from the private sector, 20% from the academia, whatever. There is no definite restriction or rules on that. It is up to you, the scope of your project. But especially for innovation action topics, this is something really important. Measure as well the public, societal, and the stakeholder engagement. Position your project, if it's like from idea to application or from lab to market, and this is related to the level of the technology readiness level or the TRL. That you will present that, okay, I'm gonna to start from this initial TRL, and throughout the project, through this collaboration and activities, we are gonna to advance this TRL to this final TRL. This is something really important. The second part of 1.3, which is the applied methodology or the overall approach that you are going to apply in order to translate the objectives into the final results. Present as well the logic and the work package structure, the technology that you are going to apply and its rationale, and consider as well the gender aspect or dimension. The last point under the excellence, which is the ambition, the novelty, and the added value of your project, the innovation potential. Try to compare between the technology that you are going to develop and the advantages over the other alternatives on the market, and also try to valorize the tackled market. For the second point or the second section in the pre-proposal, which is the impact, you have only a single point, 2.1, the expected impact. You can classify, or you need to classify your impact into social, economic, environmental, political, and scientific technological advancements. You need to quantify those impact through a set of KPIs or indicators, defining and putting the values and targets, and how you are going to verify and measure those KPIs, identify the target groups and the final beneficiaries and their geographical locations and their demands. Also, you need to consider the cross-cutting areas such as ICT revolution and gender aspect. Just one final remark about the pre-proposal. It is two sections, so you need to consider the two parts, paying equal attention. We are not talking about here like 5 pages to 5 pages, because you need to consider that for the first part, which is the excellence, you have 4 points to address. But we are talking based on our experience, maybe it is 8 to 2 or 7 to 3, but it is up to you. It is only 10 pages, so use it wisely. Don't waste spaces for the implementation details, because maybe in the second stage you will have more space to elaborate it more, but focus more on the methodology, the applied technology, the main actions and activities, the logic of the work packages structure, and the main outputs. Quantify as much as you can the outputs, deliverables, KPIs, and activities. Present the simulation and communication plan. Show the interdisciplinary and the rules of your partner. Show the engagement of the stakeholders and users, network and synergy, and finally use reference and figures. Those are some suggested useful tables. I will not go through this, but the team here will circulate for sure this presentation, so we can go through this. And if you have any question, please feel free to direct it to us. Just my last slide about some takeaways before leaving. Make sure that you engage the stakeholders and the end users to make sure that you will have a real impact on the ground. So this is very important. Show the relevance of your product not only to the full text, but also to the PRIMA strategic research and mission agenda. Prepare your communication and dissemination agenda for your project, checking the number and its consistency. You can invite some tools like Gantt chart or Perto diagram for your project. Measurable KPIs, quantify activities, deliverables, and outputs. Polish and make your project and proposal more appeal to the assessors. We are not, for sure, not talking about color for application, but for sure not as well just black and white. And strongly advise, please make sure to communicate with your national impact fund for section 1 or section 2 during the first stage and the second stage to make sure that you are aligned with the national regulations. Thank you so much for your attention.
I would like to thank Dr. Wagid for this extensive presentation. I hope this presentation will help the Egyptian researchers to apply for PRIMA. But to apply for PRIMA, I think we have to understand if you are going to apply to section 2, you have to apply according to the national rules. That's why we are honored to have with us the two funding agencies, the ASRT and the SAI. We'll start with Salma Isawi, who is going to give us a presentation about the national rules for the ASRT.
Hello everybody, good afternoon. Thanks so much for Galala University for inviting us today for this MP session. I'm Salma Isawi, the national contact point for PRIMA for Academy of Scientific Research and Technology. So I would like to just to catch up with the agenda. Okay, first of all, I would like to highlight the funding commitment we have for PRIMA. For whole PRIMA duration, we have allocated 15 million euro for the 10 years, and each year we release 1.5 million euro each year for each call. So what does that mean? That we have this fund to fund around 5 or to 7 projects. We don't lack the fund. We just sometimes we lack the good proposals to finish all the fund we have each year. We also here have limitation for coordination and partners. For being coordination, this is actually one of the calls that it's really recommending that the South Mediterranean partners to have coordination from the South. So, so many applicants have the idea and have the lot of information favorable in this situation to have the coordination from the South. So we have some
Yeah, doctor. Doctor.
€1,000 per team for coordination and in one project. And if you are a partner, a normal partner, to be €150,000. What does it mean, €150,000? It means if one applicant or more than one applicant is going to apply for the call, they will all take €150,000. Okay. So this is just important information to have, like as simple as completing information for the PI and the co-PI. Because so many times when we do the eligibility check, we find some lack of information or not all the information are there. So it is actually very important for so many reasons. First of all, we sometimes need to communicate with the PI fast and during the eligibility check, and we make some arrangement with them or to understand more what they mean if they have some complications or issues in the application they're doing. So this is one thing. Another thing also, when we do the coaching sessions or the training sessions, sometimes I go back to the list of people who already submitted in the previous calls, and we capitalize on their efforts that they have been done already. So it's important for these two reasons. And also being in the database, it's also very beneficial. So who are eligible to apply according to Academy of Scientific Research regulations? Well, any Egyptian legal entity established and based in Egypt are eligible to participate. So like research institutes, academic, non-academic organizations, including NGOs, innovation agencies, industry, and also we have a special attention is given to small and medium enterprises. So it is also eligible to apply for the fund from Academy of Scientific Research if you are have a small and medium enterprise. The eligibility of applicants themselves. So the Egyptian PI must not have more than 2 ongoing projects funded by the Academy. So if you have like 2 already funded projects, you're not going to be eligible to be the PI for this call, which means that you can be one of the team members but allocate somebody else if you're the owner of the proposals or anything like that, or maybe apply for a different funding agency. The Egyptian team must follow the national regulations of the Academy of Scientific Research and Technology bylaws. So when we talk about the budget, we have like 3 main criteria. First thing is the rationale is to be very much acceptable if duly explained and justified. The adequate use of resources and the information given. The description of how resources will be mobilized, including any resources that will complement the Academy contribution, such as there is an option if you would like to, if you need more than 170 if you are a coordinator, or more than 150 if you're a partner. If you need more money to complete your project or to have your project completed, you may add by your own resources to the application. So it's just an option to have. So we come to the eligibility of the costs. So the incentives could be up to 25% of the total requested contribution per Egyptian applicant. Of course, all costs could be eligible if they are within the objectives to achieve the objectives of the proposal, like prototyping, IP protection, even publishing and anything relating materials, kits and consumables, traveling. So we have only few limitations regarding the equipment, for example, shouldn't exceed 25% of the total budget. Also, traveling should be following. We didn't really emphasize on a lot of rules regarding traveling, especially because a lot of organizations, especially the governmental organizations, have their own rules regarding this issue. So we respect this guidelines and rules for each national authority. So we accept the regulations and to apply the local regulations adopted. If like small and medium enterprises, they have to follow special rules within the bylaws of the academy. So it's also eligible cost to have the project meetings or events or something like that related to the project objectives. The overhead, we have a section in the budget called overhead. It goes to your institution because you're using the facilities and things. So we give them 5% of the total requested budget. We have also a limitation on some items that shouldn't exceed 15%. It's something like academic teaching programs or website launch, design and development of original teaching tools. So we have some other funding criteria, such as conditions of funding the private sectors. We go by two ways. We either have the reimbursement option, which is that they already do their own costs, but they reimburse it from the academy later, or against letter of guarantee, that they make a guarantee, letter of guarantee to the bank, and then we give them the fund, like any other institution. So I have some tips and tricks to according to our experience for past 3 courses for PRIMA. So I'm gonna just highlight a few steps for granting process. First of all, the security clearance we requested. We request also 3 copies of the full proposal signed and stamped, 1-page summary in Arabic, and also the evaluation report that you have received from the PRIMA Secretariat. Also, a detailed budget sheet in Arabic, the same that you have applied for PRIMA, but you have to translate it to Arabic, 1 CD or USB, also any soft copy to be addressed to, and all these things to be addressed to the Academy of Scientific Research President, Dr. Mahmoud Sahr. So I have also some information already. Dr. Mohammed Waghi have emphasized on some of these things to capitalize on already funded projects, which is a very important aspect here, because we have to look back on the project that has been funded even in the EU, in the different instrument, or ENI is the different instrument, or also for the European Union for Mediterranean countries. Like for example, Cordis has the full data for the EU funded projects. You can search by the thematic area you are searching for. If you are new to all these things, you can even join a new consortiums or even put your data to be available for others. There is also a project called FEMAC. It is a project funded actually by PRIMA Section 1. We as the Academy of Scientific Research has applied as a normal partner for the Section 1, and we have won this project. The main idea for this project is to solicit all all the data for the Mediterranean area, to have one platform to collect all, to make like clusters and to collect all the data in one place. It is under construction right now. So, and also Dr. Mohammed Waghi also has showed you the PRIMA catalog, which has the previously done projects and also the partnering tool. If you have not using these things before or are new to this as well, you can also put your data and your organization data, so it will be available for others have already ready consortiums, but they lack maybe a partner from the South Mediterranean to complete the criteria of PRIMA. So it's also very important, and also many I know myself, many proposals has won such things by only availing their information. Also, one important thing is many EU projects have tools to help young researchers and in networking with the international community. Like many, you have to dig further into key terms like vouchers or study tours or conferences, because they have many opportunities. There are many opportunities to apply for. There are a lot of calls. There are a lot of already running projects that have opportunities for such things. Okay, this is the you hear more. And PRIMA, that is only how to show you where are the booklets and the already funded projects, and there is a paragraph on each project, and also who are the partner, and maybe you can also communicate with them. This is also could be one. Coaching sessions, we have made in Academy of Scientific Research. We've been doing a coaching session since the beginning of the codes of PRIMA. Each year we do a training sessions and a coaching session. Coaching is one-to-one coach with international experts or national experts, depends on the maturity of your proposal. The coaching one-to-one is only available for mature proposals or ready to apply proposals. So you sit down with an expert and you talk together upon your ready proposal. We are a network of national contact points. I'm just giving you here a screenshot of the page. You can reach out for any of them if you need anything regarding this country. If you would like to have a certain organization, they can recommend you people and so on. So me and Dr. Amr Radwan, Head of Research and Innovation Management Unit, are the contact person for the Academy of Scientific Research and Technology. And the STDF, I think the data has been changed. So I opt for this opportunity, and if you need anything, I'll be more than happy to answer. These are my information with the Dr. Amr Radwan. We will be happy to help you applying for the new code. Thank you so much.
I would like to thank Dr. Salma Al-Aisawi for sharing this valuable presentation. And now we'll go to Ms. Marwa from the STDF, where she will be presenting to us, Ms. Marwa Ala, the STDF guidelines, topics, and funding for PRIMA.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Is the presentation clear?
Yes.
Okay. I will start with STDF thematic area for PRIMA. The first topic is water management, which has low-cost, clean solution for enhancing irrigation efficiency of smallholder farmers. Second topic is farming systems, redesign the agro-livelihood systems to ensure resilience. The submission process, original version should be submitted on PRIMA platform, and another identical version must be uploaded on STDF website. The participation criteria. The principal investigator should be an Egyptian PhD holder affiliated to an Egyptian research institution, university, or research center. The proposal should include a scanned copy of the signed and stamped endorsement letter, CVs for all team members according to STDF template, and budget table in euro according also to STDF template. Each project can receive up to 200,000 euro and 250,000 euro if the Egyptian partner is the coordinator of the project. The amount of funding, of course, will be divided into installments to be dispersed upon the acceptance of technical and financial progress reports, and it will be dispersed in local currency. These are the eligible costs: equipment, spare parts, expendable supplies and materials, events, workshops, conferences, training, courses, services necessary for fulfilling the objectives of the project, example, manufacturing of prototypes, publication and computer software. Incentives are allowed for 25% up to 400,000 Egyptian pound. Travel is allowed also with 20% up to 400,000 Egyptian pound, and the indirect cost 10% up to 150,000 Egyptian pound.
مروة بليز السلايدز ما بتتحركش، لو تحركي السلايد بليز.
Sure. كده تمام؟
كده ابتدت تتحرك.
اوكي.
السلايدز not shown اصلا.
طيب Soha, can you share it from your side?
حضرتك بس اعمليها فول سكرين وبس كده.
اوكي. كده تمام؟
The slides still not shown on the screen.
طيب Soha, تقدري تشير البرزنتيشن؟
عامة احنا هنعمل شير برضو للبرزنتيشن لكل البارتيسيبنتس، لو في حاجة حضرتك عايزة برضو تو هايلايت.
Okay. Type general remarks and conditions. The PI should not participate in any other project in the same call. At any time, each applicant can be a PI or co-PI for maximum of 2 STDF projects. An applicant can be a team member for a maximum of 3 STDF projects. Maximum total time participation should not exceed 80% in all submitted and running projects. The PI and co-PI cannot contribute with a less than 40% of their time. And of course, conflict of interest should be avoided. PRIMA contact point for the national applicants will be Mrs. Ula Ahmed, and I will type her email in the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this comprehensive presentation, and we'll be sharing it with all the participants. We come to our last presentation by Dr. Tariq Al Arabi, the Director of EU Project and Egypt-EU Cooperation Unit in the Ministry of Higher Education and Head of the Innovation Office in Heliopolis University. Will he be giving us an experience about the best practice PRIMA proposal submission experience. Dr. Tariq, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad. Good afternoon to all. I hope that you can hear me clearly. Please let me know if there is echo or things that not really clear. Now tell me if you can see my presentation or not. Can you? Hello.
Yes.
Sorry, we can see the presentation well. Just make it in a full screen.
Yes.
Very good. So again, thank you, Dr. Shenawi, for the invitation and for organization of this Info Day, and I'm happy to be with you. I hope that I can give you a little bit of tips on how to move forward in writing a proposal. my name is Tarek Al-Arabi. I'm an associate professor at Faculty of Agriculture at Shams University, and I formerly was the director of Office Sponsored Program at Heliopolis University until January this year. And I'm still directing all the Egypt EU projects at the Ministry of Scientific Research. I just want to highlight that, like, why I'm giving this presentation or why I'm invited here. I hope that I can help you with a little bit of my experience in managing or submitting proposals. Since 2014, I have managed and managing and going to manage based on our acceptance proposals about 21 projects. But this is didn't come from like a second, or like it's an effort and try and error and learning process. So you can see from the proposal and submission and success rate since 2013.
للمقاطعه، بس انت هتشير البرزنتيشن ولا تحب احنا نعمل لها شير؟ لان we cannot see the presentation.
Okay, can you hold on please, because I thought that I can. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it, but please make it full screen.
Done. Okay, now it looks fine.
لسه مش full screen يا طارق.
I think there's a delay in the process. But if you wish, you can do it from your side, because I did my best to make it like, I don't know. I can stop sharing this. Okay.
Okay, can you share من عندنا دلوقتي احنا شايفينها كويس.
Yes, can you just move to the next slide, please? And the next slide. Yes. So just to show you the process, like how the learning of making proposals and submitting proposals. Like I started this process in 2013, and you can see like I have submitted proposals with no success at all. And then started from 2016, I started to get some of my proposals accepted, and then until alhamdulillah, and since last year and the year before, we had a very high success rate, maybe above 80%. So this shows you that the proposal submission or writing proposal is not an easy process, but it's very delightful and also very interesting process as well. Can you move to the next slide, please? So in this presentation, I will complement what have been said by Dr. Mohammed Wagi and my colleagues, Salma and Marwa, about how to write a good proposal. So now, as Dr. Chanel explained in the morning, that this call for PRIMA proposals has been launched, and you have about 68 million euros for funding in 7 topics. You have about half of them in section 1 and the other half in section 2. Next slide, please. So in this step-by-step guide, I'm going to like try to explain to you what to look first and what to do next and so forth. So step 1, as Mohammed Wagi mentioned, that you have to read carefully the call text. This is the idea. And the call text is always divided into 3 main sections. They have the challenge, and the challenge is give you a little background about the topic itself, like why this thematic area is really important and why this specific topic is really important. It puts you in the psychology, it tells you why we need this urgently, why we need to develop solutions in this problem, why people are suffering or the environment is suffering because of this challenge. And then it tells you the scope. And the scope is very, very critical. The scope, it tells you where the areas of interest where the submitted proposal should tackle. And in this text, specifically, you should look for a lot of keywords like and, or not, should, must, implement, reach, include, and this kind of keywords that you have to look for. And these keywords tells you exactly what you can include and what you cannot include, and what you can do in combinations and what you cannot do in combination, or what are the choices. And this is why it's very important, as Muhammad Wagi told you, to read, and reflect. So this is exactly why you have to read it more than once and read it very carefully to look for this kind of keywords and know exactly what you can and what you cannot address in this scope. For the expected impact is simply what you should deliver. This is the proposal, this is your idea, and this is what you want to serve this area of research or innovation. And this is what you should deliver. So basically the expected impacts, when you read it, you know exactly that you have to reach most or the majority of the expected impacts in the call text. Next, please. So for example, now we have a thematic area number 2 for section 1 and the farming systems. And the topic is increasing the environmental and socioeconomic performance of small-scale farming systems through improvements in organizational aspects and new value chain governance model. This is the topic. When you read the topic, you try to pause at each word to understand what is the topic meaning. Of course, you have to read the call text, as I said, very carefully, but let's not waste time in reading the call text now. But just looking at the topic itself, when you say increasing the environmental and socioeconomic performance, it means that you have to scale up something. You have to have something in hand. That's why it's an innovation action. If you look at the type of action, it's called an innovation action call. So it means that you have to start from a high level of technology readiness level, and you scale this up into different models and different governance. So basically, we are talking about farming systems, we are talking about socioeconomic. It means that we have to look for people who are underprivileged, like small-scale farmers or small-scale producers, the ecosystem that they can deal with, and you have to find solution for this. And different solutions can be addressed through different ideas. And to know if your idea is one of these key ideas that can solve this problem or not, you can go to the next step. So next slide, please. So I have put a very simple decision tree or map. If your idea or your passion versus the call text, always link the call text with what you want to do, not the other way around. I mean, don't look at the call text and try to think of an idea that maybe it's not your expertise or not your passion at all, because always it will not be as good as if it's your passion, your idea, like what you are good at. So always look at the call text and you know your passion and know your ideas, and then try to link it together. Don't just think about the cash. Don't just think about like, I need this one, that's it. No, just to make it a very good proposal and make a good delivery of your ideas, it's the other way around. So how to match your idea with the call text? So let's ask question. Your idea matches the call text? Simply, if it's yes, like it's clear, crystal clear, yes, this call text is really matching my expertise, matching my idea, then break it down into objectives. If no, then look closely again to keywords in the scope. And when I mean keywords here, if the whole idea of farming system is talking about small-scale farmers and governance and environmental impacts and business cases or models, but your expertise in genetic modification or genetic preservation of cattle in like dairy cows or beef cattle. So maybe at the first glance, maybe they are not correlated or they are not linked together. But when you look closely to the keywords in the scope, maybe you'll see something that's related to it. How come if I'm doing genetic preservation for cattle? If the scope tells you that the livestock is part of this call, then I am related. I am related here because livestock is one of them. But how can what I do is related to the increase of environmental and socioeconomic impacts. Then you have to go again and look at your idea in different perspective. How can your expertise help the cattle to produce more, or how the cattle can be cheaper, or how you can produce different carbon footprint, for example, to lower the environmental impact, for example. Then if by any means your expertise or your passion or your idea still do not match with the scope, then pass the scope. Don't force it, because you'll not do a really good job if they're not matching together. But if yes, then try to link it. And if you change your perspective and try to find a way to link it with the scope, then again, break it down into objectives. Next slide, please. Remember that you're not alone. Like, you're not going to write the whole proposal by yourself. It's not a good practice. It will never be as good as when a group of people contributing to the same proposal. So how to break down your passion or your idea into objectives? So please always remember that your expertise is one objective, only one objective, but be a little creative and try to define what do you want to do as a whole overall objective with this goal. If you are the coordinator, if you are the creator of the idea itself, then try to come up with what you want to do as a general idea for the whole proposal. If you want to be very creative, then try to complete a list of objectives and try to break down a different list of specific objectives for this goal, and seek help. Always seek help. As Dr. Wagi was saying, that you are not alone. Try to find partners, try to find colleagues who can read what you want to do, discuss with them your idea, and then you will be able to define more relative specific objectives. And based on this relative specific objectives, you will know exactly what kind of partners you need, who are the expertise that you want. The next slide, please. So now, again, you're not alone. What you need to do is that you translate the specific objectives into work packages. As this is the structure of the proposal, you need to split the work on different working packages, and each partner to do what in each working packages. And that's why you don't do this by yourself. Mostly, in my experience, the partner who write the whole proposal by themselves, usually the proposal is not as successful as when the whole partners, they contribute together with ideas and text. Dream about the end. It means that you have to identify the impacts, because when you're writing, you can be very exaggerating, you can be very over dreaming, you can say a lot of ambitions, but at the end, this will be like exceeding the timeline, exceeding the budget, exceeding even the partner efforts. So you have to always dream about the end. You have to think about the end when you are putting the objectives, so you can actually think about the impacts that you're going to deliver at the end of your project. Of course, calculation of the budget is a very crucial part. You have to follow certain guideline, and you, as you have seen from the ASRT and the STDF, there are some strict guidelines that you have to really follow. And in the section 1, you have to follow the European Commission or the same rules of the Horizon, previously 2020, now maybe Horizon Europe guidelines. Not necessarily that you have to follow, but I mean, this is at least something that you really can help you to do better calculation for your budget. Always use graphics and illustration tools. Like, the reviewers like to see your idea or your objectives in a nutshell. Maybe they can read, they can understand, they like it, but maybe if it's illustrated into graphics more, into illustrations, like tables or flowcharts or similar ideas, it can actually improve your marks in the reviewing part, because the reviewers or the assessors will look at your ideas in a nutshell, and then they can get your idea very well, and it can actually help them to visualize your objectives and can identify the impacts. Next slide, please. So basically, I would like to share with you like my experience in PRIMA. Last year in the call 2020, I personally with partners have submitted 4 proposals, and out of these 4, 3 got accepted. One in section 1, which was under thematic area 2, the farming systems and alternative feed, animal feeds. And the project name is New Feed. We have Spain as the coordinator and Egypt with Greece and Turkey. They are partners. We have budget over 2 million euros. And the objective is that we create business cases of circular economy models for animal feed. And we have business cases in the 3 countries. We have one in Spain, one in Egypt, and one in Greece. And the Turkey is the one that doing the economical model. So again, this is an example of how you can identify the partner's role and know what partners you need. So Spain, for example, they have large orange by-waste, and they can create animal feed from it, like for example, the big animals. Greece, they have olive, and Egypt, we have olives as well. So we have developed a case for poultry, and Greece for extraction of the active ingredient. So basically, we have identified these 3 cases, and we put together the idea, and this is how it came together, and we won the proposal. Next slide, please. The following 2 projects are actually in section 2, and the first one is called MedWet. The MedWet is about water management, and it's low cost, very effective irrigation technologies and water purification technologies for the use of agriculture. And this low cost, efficient irrigation systems is specifically dedicated for small farmers. So basically, it's not just about water systems and highly sophisticated technologies that you can address. No, but you also have to think about how this will impact the smallholder farmers, which are the larger capacity of the idea itself. In the next slide, I'm going to show you the last project that was accepted in the thematic area 3, the agro-food value chain. It's called MidLinks, and the MidLinks will be coordinated by our partners in Italy, and Egypt, France, Greece, and Morocco are partners. And also the same thing, it's about how to link the smallholder farmers into value chain and into linkages and different certification quality management systems to open more markets for them and open more linkage with different Mediterranean countries, so they can actually improve the value chain of fruit and vegetable, and therefore we can have a more effective supply chain that can actually lower the cost and increase the profitability or increase the sales. So these are the 3 examples that got accepted from last year's call. And this show you how this can be related to the first part of my presentation, that how you choose your partner, how you choose your idea, how you put this together into a proposal that can be really successful. I think this is my last slide, if I'm not mistaken. So I really wish you all happy proposal submission. This is my email address in case you want to have a contact with me. Thank you again for your listening and for the invitation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tariq, for this very comprehensive presentation. And I would like, by the end of this presentation, to thank all those who were with us, sharing their experience, sharing the presentations. And I know that we run out of time, but we can have 2 questions before we end our session officially. So if anyone would like to ask a question, please raise your hand and we'll unmute you to listen to your question. So I don't see any question. Maha? Yes, Maha?
Please, I heard now that there is 2 sections for PRIMA, section 1 and section 2, and one is supported by the European Union and the other is supported by STDF in Egypt. And the first one is for agro-food, and the second is associated with COVID research, right? As I understood.
Dr. Maha, let me tell you, we have section 1, which is fully funded by the European Union, while section 2 is funded by the participating states. So each state أو كل دولة is funding its own participants. So if you have a consortium of Egypt, France, and Italy, the Egyptian partner هيبقى supported by either SCDF or SRT. The Italian will be supported by Italy, and the French will be supported by France. So this is how it goes. So you look at which topic you are interested to apply for, and then you see it's section 1 or section 2. Section 1 you will be funded by EU. Section 2 you will be funded by the participating states.
Yeah, it's a section 1, but how can I differentiate between them? When I looked into the call, I couldn't see that there is section 1 and section 2. I see the call and the topic, and then down the page there is the guideline and everything. I haven't noticed this section 1, section 2.
Let me speak in Arabic. مكتوب يا دكتورة مها بيبقى مكتوب حاجة section 1. If it's 1.1, it is section 1. If it is 2 point something, it's section 2.
And the fund from the European Union, is it related that the programming country or the main coordinator is from Europe, or it has no link?
It has no link. The coordinator could be either from any of the participating states. The 19 participating states are eligible to be coordinators.
Okay. So, and if I would like, because I heard about the Scandinavian countries that can apply, if I would like to include one of them Scandinavian countries and 2 from Egypt, is it allowed, or I have to take also Italy, for example, as one of the other European countries?
You have to have at least 3 participating states, and then you can add any on. So if it's Egypt, Italy, you have to have another participating states. So let's say Lebanon or France or Greece or Portugal. Then you can have the Scandinavian. So at least 3 participating states.
Okay, so from the eligible countries, I have to choose 3. The extra one, it has to be. But what about
and the 3 has to be 2 plus 1. So you cannot have 3 South Mediterranean. You have to have 2 plus 1. So Egypt, Italy, and Greece, or Egypt, Greece, and Lebanon. And not Egypt, Lebanon, Morocco only. So you have to have an extra country from the north.
And what about the private organizations that strengthen the application?
Eligible. They are eligible to participate. Any private companies are eligible to participate, but you have to check with the national guidelines in case you are going to section 2.
Okay, so it has to not for it's a section 1 that I am interested in.
It's open for anyone for section 1 because it's funded from the EU.
Okay, thank you.
I hope this discussion has clarified some points that we always hear from our colleagues. If there is any question, any other question? I see a question that was asked about if you cannot know someone can submit in different thematic area. Yes, you can submit in different thematic areas, and you are eligible to submit different proposals. So I think we are coming to the end. I would like to thank you all for being with us. It was an honor to have different universities like Ain Shams, Cairo, Tanta, the Arab Academy, Galala, of course, was presented. I see Dr. Fatma Ashur. I saw Dr. Hani Swalam. So it was an honor to have you all. I don't want to forget anybody. And thank you so much, and looking forward for all your proposals, and stay safe. Thank you so much, and we end our session.